while we're busy upgrading the tool, right, we're doing continuous improvement on the CS side, because as things change, as your environments become more difficult, we've got to be sharper, and we've got to start providing new capabilities, not only to ourselves but to y'all. Being from Michigan, using y'all was very difficult right there, but I did it. So first, want to start talking about the portal. So last year, I was up here in front of y'all. Oh, I did it again. Look at that. It starts flowing. We introduced the support portal, and this is the one-stop shop, right? We're trying to get more and more into this. You know, as we've grown over time, things have been a little bit fragmented, and we had different places you'd go for different things. We're trying to bring that all into either the portal or the tool itself, to make that just easier on everybody, right? Easier to find, easier to access, easier for us to maintain, if I'm honest. So in the portal, you can see all the requests that you've created. I'm not going to call out Sean Chaney here, but he's had the most requests of any user in the system. And so if he went up there, if you guys see right here, there's a little blue box that shows how many requests you have. Sean, I'm sure you've seen that and seen however many you've got left open right now. Most people have one or two. Sean's in triple digits, I think. When you have those tickets, as work gets done on them, as we're doing the research, as we're trying to understand what the scenario may be, right, so that we can solve that problem, you'll get notifications. You can see them here, or you'll get an email that says, hey, an update was made by Dan, and the text of whatever that question was. And then, of course, we talked about you can use our knowledge base, right? So whatever we have built into this portal is now available to you. So it's real easy to use, to search, right? You just go into the search bar in the portal, and it will start popping up, kind of like a wiki format, all of the articles that are tied to whatever the system is guessing you're looking for. All right. Also, this is where you would log a ticket. So if you have an issue, right? If it's just a small issue, right? Hey, Dan, I don't like the color on this screen, right? You would report a problem, and then I would forward that ticket to Patrick immediately. If it is a site down issue, of course, we want you to use that button, because it activates a totally different system within our company. The response time is much different, right? We are expecting, if your site down, that's a problem that we need to solve ASAP. So this is the I'm going to wake, too far. This is the I'm going to wake people up button. And this is just, I'd like to get something fixed. So we try to keep this limited to site down, or maybe site down is that your data didn't move, right? The integration broke. We can't conduct business today. That's definitely a site down kind of issue. Can't log into the system, site down issue. All right. So when you go to submit a request, there are different forms, right? Based on whether it's a critical or just a normal bug or question that you want to ask. So it will require different information from you based on those things. When you do submit that, then you're going to get an email from us in the next little bit saying, hey, we received your bug, your issue, and we are addressing it per the rules. Some updates to the portal. So right now, there is direct access to the portal through Intuiflow. So if I was able to get my animations right, it's going to pop up, and over in the support and documentation, if you click that Intuiflow knowledge base, it will pop open a window that shows you that first screen. So it's direct access within the application. I've got a little asterisk there because right now it is limited to people who create tickets in the system. So if somebody hasn't been able to create a ticket in the system, right now they don't have access. We're working to build that later into the system so that there's no setup required. Whenever anybody goes in, they can directly access it from wherever. That's coming. But in the meantime, if you have team members who don't normally create tickets but need access, how do I get access, right? I need my whole team to be able to get to that knowledge base, whatever you guys have built. How do I do that? So if you go to the portal and you click report a problem, right? And then it's going to ask you, well, what's the summary of this problem? Well, I need access to the portal. And if you create an email similar to this with their email addresses, and I would ask just for the speed of admin, putting a comma after each of those, then we can populate that much faster and get everybody access pretty quick. That makes sense? Quick ticket. All right. If the site is down, well, Dan, what you just showed us is great, but if the site is down, how do I get to it? We have this bit.ly link. When you type that in, it will take you directly to the portal. So accessible through the software or outside of it. Kevin, you look a little concerned. No. Nope. All right. This is a big one. People have been asking for it. I know this would be near and dear to your heart, which is release notes. So in the past, we would put release notes out in the system, but they were kind of hidden, and it was always after the fact, and only after you upgraded did you see them. Right? So it was not useful to somebody wondering what came out in the new release. So we worked through a process, and the product team be publishing those release notes, so you can go into the portal, start typing release, and it's going to pop up the release notes. We've got 2 years worth of release notes out there, and it'll be updated every month, right? Well, I say every month, every time we have a release, generally every month. This is big news. The user guide is in the portal. So we've been working diligently over the last about 5 months, trying to take everything that was in the user guide and move it into Confluence, so that obviously, again, the idea of getting everything in one place makes it very useful to you guys to see that. This is going to replace Gitbook, right? The link that you guys have been using for the last 2 years, 3 years, that's going away later this year. But all of the updates are here and are going to be made here. So if you go there now, I've got an example of scheduling, because that's the latest thing that we brought in. Right, we've got a lot of scheduling and execution content in there, but all of the content that we're building is going to be there. One of the nice things that this affords us, and I didn't demo it here, but is that not only can we kind of just port that information over, but now we've started using video. So you can see little videos of the functionality being shown as right there with the text of what we're talking about. So some better capabilities than what we had. Hopefully that'll be useful for you guys as we go forward. Upcoming changes. So last year we relaunched Intuiflow University, right? It was a site set up, and it had a guided walkthrough of the system. And we were hoping for some good adoption. Right after the user conference, there were a few guys that really jumped in there and were playing with it, but then adoption dropped off pretty quickly. It also was, on our end, a maintenance burden, right? Every time we upgraded the system, which is monthly, we would have to upgrade this as well. And so it was painful for us to maintain. And so we're going to deprecate this in Q3. But we're launching a new learning management system. We just signed the contract last Friday. I have a short demo I'll show you in a minute, but it's really cool. I'm very excited about it because of the capabilities it gives to you guys and to us as we help you grow in the system. So, right, one of them is trainings available all the time, right? Whether the team is awake or even on the continent, right? You can still go get the training. It's role-based, so we can set it up for planners versus buyers. Maybe for our partners, right? They would want some other training that we would maybe want to offer them, maybe even in the sales side, Tim, right? So we can set the trainings up by role and kind of have different requirements for each one, different required trainings, but then there's also other trainings you could take. So we would have like basic materials planning as a course. but then optional might be the autopilot, right? Hey, I want to go learn about this thing. How does it work? Or it could be the latest feature that Patrick comes up with, right? We could create a 5-minute training just so you guys could see, hey, here's how this works, even before it maybe makes it even into the user guide, right? And if I'm any good, maybe I can get Patrick to build those videos before I can put them in. Thank you, Patrick, for volunteering. Ability to test and quiz. So that's a big one. Most of our training, is, as you guys know, has been based in PowerPoint and is one-on-one, or sorry, delivered, right, one trainer to whatever group we're training to. And what that hasn't facilitated is us to understand how well at the time of that training the user understands it. And of course, I've led training for SAP with groups right this size. And while I would try to walk around and talk to all of them, you can't see how well any one of them are doing after you've had 8 hours of training in a day. So looking to this to help give us some guidance to see where people are struggling. We actually have some ability to see over the testing of these things, what is the average pass rate of this question? Like maybe the question is just a bad question. And to create and maintain certifications. So we don't have a design for this yet. The software that we are working with enables that, possibly some opportunities there for people to get that, right? Like to become a DD Tech SME, okay? So I'm gonna just real quick skip over to that, let you guys get a preview of some of those capabilities. And let's see. Let me find the mouse. Hey, Kevin. How do I get out of this to the... Yeah. All right, thank you. So this is a sandbox. So we have a small sandbox that we're starting to build out content in. Of course, you can see we've got a banner here that allows us to advertise anything that's going on with DD Tech, maybe an event that's coming up, or that you're even attending. But below that then, we've got some courses here that are assigned to me. You can see I've got 4 courses right now. 2 of them are just made up courses. One of them, you can see here, and I just pushed this together real quick so we can have an idea, right? One activity, in this case, it's a video. We can see that by the icon. It's in English. We can do trainings in multiple languages. There's a little bit of work that the team will have to do to enable that. But certainly we've got Vianney who speaks Spanish, Bernard who speaks French, but the software will also allow us to translate the text into those languages so that then only would we have to do voiceover work on the other languages. And so if we go into this, you can see that I have a training on building supply chain agility. And oh, look at that, it's Eric. I can watch a video of Eric teaching us how to do that, right? We saw Miles yesterday. This is Eric giving a similar presentation. Maybe I don't want to take that course today. But we do have another course here. And this was one with the vendor. They gave me some time on Monday, and we real quick took the 35-slide deck of autopilot and created this deck through their AI capabilities in about 5 minutes. It's pretty slick. This is obviously not what we want to do for all of our training, but I thought it was pretty interesting that it could take that amount of data and kind of break it down into smaller chunks for us and make it, right, instead of sitting through 2 hours of materials planning training, maybe you only want to go through 5-minute chunks as you have time, right? The goal is education, not boring you for 2 hours and giving you a stamp and say, you've been trained, right? So in this, we can see that there's some activities going on, right? So we've got 4 questions, and median duration is 3 minutes. That's mostly because when I went through and did this, I was going through just to make sure all the answers were right. And so I just clicked through the questions real quick. When we went through it the first time, it was a little bit longer, but it will give you an expected duration. So this is kind of a look at autopilot. And as we go through, all of this text was auto-generated. Even the pictures, of course, we can insert the artwork that we're used to and the way that we do it internally, but then, right, we can create quizzes. In this case, I just have this question here, what's the goal of autopilot? And I'm sure everybody here would know the answer to this, right? Is to improve user confidence and automate the process of the setting of the system. So it tells me that I'm right and I can move on. So as you go through each section, you can have tests, we can have tests and quizzes along the way as they progress from module to module and allow us to then get some metrics on the learner as they go through. So we won't go through this course all the way. There's also, as we go through them, and I've been working on learning and I guess I don't have it, it's this one, oops. For each course, then we're able to see how many times the quizzes have been taken, how often people are passing and failing. It's awfully hard to see that way. So we have statistics on each course, who's in it, how long does it take, whether they passed or not, number of attempts, all kinds of things to help us better train employees as we go through. So very exciting from our standpoint to enable you guys and your teams to do more with what we've already got. Does that make sense? Any questions? Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, this is the replacement of the Intuiflow.
Yes. Yeah. So Intuiflow U required a very technical resource to do all the development of it. Because of the way this is set up, anybody in our organization can create a course. So like I was saying, anybody on my team would create a course on, just standard functionality. Maybe Patrick would do something on new functionalities coming out. Tim might do some training for the sales team. It could be that you guys want some specific training and say, hey, guys, we want, training specific to Freshmark. And this is how we do it and how we want this to go. And we could do that. And if you're willing to do that, I'm willing to collect the money. All right. What else? Nope. All right. I thought I heard something. I think this is right. Nope, that's not it. Kevin, can you get me back to my slides? There we go. Thank you, sir. So other ways that we're helping people accelerate in their supply chains, of course, I can't help but call out my team members who have been presenting this week. I think you guys have seen the level of knowledge and commitment that they have. I'm very thankful. I get to work with a very talented group, and we're doing some great things for our clients. I'm going to go talk about just a couple of those real quick. So while we do have the training that we're going to be building out in this product, we do get calls to do custom training or maybe refresher training for some clients. That's something we will still offer if requested. Health checks. So for all of you that went through our implementations, at the end, you get a health check, right? And we start telling you about how you're using the system over that period. What are some opportunities to gain back some value, right? Things that are falling through the cracks where maybe there's not full adoption or maybe a training issue. So a couple of things that we do when we find this, right? There's parts that need inventory improvement up and down, right? Some that you're, in fact, I was talking with somebody in the last 2 days who realized that they weren't carrying enough inventory on some parts that they really needed to. They were too hand to mouth. And then there's other ones which are the easiest to identify, right? The ones where you're sitting on just a truckload of it and can't figure out how to get rid of it. Service improvements, where can we help you improve your service to your customers, right? That's what we're all here for. That's what supply chain is how do I supply the customer? So we highlight that. And then, of course, we talked about the training opportunities. I am outside the range of this. I might need a course on clicker training, but it looks like it's moved. Okay, thank you. We've helped other clients through the consulting of this team. So obviously best practices in demand-driven methodology and of course Intuiflow, we should be the experts on that. We've worked with several clients on helping their implementation teams learn how to implement. So kind of how to do what we do ourselves. So there are some clients that are just too big, maybe like Russell's team, where if he was waiting on us, it would take him 10 years to get implemented, right? Where he was able to take people, get them trained up and go and do that. I think, Rita, you're following kind of the same model where, right, it's all well and good. That's why you got the phone a friend to ask us questions, but going to go out and roll it out themselves. So we've helped several clients with that. And it's not just the technical pieces, it's project management, change management. I'm sure some of you have seen that in our implementations, how that's a big focus, is how do we get everybody to understand and make that change. And right, it's not always comfortable, but right, you move through it, move on and move forward. We've also had discussions about internal integrations discussions. Hey, Dan, before we get the IT guys involved, we're thinking about doing this in our integration. We'd like to try and do this. And my team has helped with that and maybe said, you probably don't want to do that. And here's the 3 reasons why. Test out solutions to new scenarios. So as your business evolves, sometimes maybe you know the functionality exists, but hey, how is the best way to set this up in demand driven? I have probably in the last 2 months talked to 3 different clients on distribution scenarios and how do they model those, and cross plant, right, bill of materials or parts that are made in 2 different plants but relying on each other for parts. How do we model that in the system? That's just some of the ways that we have done that. So my question to you guys is, how else can we help you?
Questions?
I thought it was rhetorical.
No.
This is, in my mind, and we were talking about this at lunch, this is a big deal because this is, in my mind, the last mile. You can have all the technology and all the great stuff, and you can try to make it as user-friendly as possible, but if it doesn't connect to that individual that's actually using the software, you've gained nothing, right? And we had that in Intuiflow University. It's a digital adoption platform that we had utilized for a few years. Sounded really great. You know, you can navigate the person through the software, and that all made sense. Coca-Cola even had it in their live production environment because they kept having new users come in, and it did help a bit. But as Dan described, it was very devilish to keep up to date. And the yield in terms of what we were getting in terms of real client traction wasn't what it needed to be. So the idea that Dan described about the portal, the knowledge base, the user manuals, all that stuff, get it in the right place, give it access to people. And then I think the LMS is a real critical piece of it because it's the only thing we had found that would give us a feedback loop. You know, are the dogs eating the food, right? Are they learning what we need them to learn so they can be effective? And, you know, our goal is to get to where ideally, and we talked about this at lunch, was if you could self-deploy and get results very quickly, then that would be utopia, right? Far easier said than done. So, you know, we're trying to paint a picture here of what we're doing, but obviously want to know, does this make sense for you all? Are these the right efforts to be focused on? Thoughts? Craig, what do you think? Okay, would this style of learning management help you guys? Yeah, right. Okay, right. Yep. Kevin?
Too, as we're bringing your new features and everything that are coming out, at least put them into here so that we can see that as it's coming versus
Yep.
finding out.
Other thoughts? Doug? You've not been bashful today?
I guess maybe record retention, like who's taken the course and stuff like that, was really good. I thought the competency testing was really good because like you said, someone can be sitting there nodding their head and they have no idea what you just said. And the certification maintenance was that something that's coming or is it there?
So that's something that is kind of a question. Does that make sense? I think for our partners, certainly it does, right? To make sure that they know about and have understood what it is that we can offer to their clients. But would it make sense for you guys that we have a certification?
Yeah, I know in a way, like I got certified several years ago.
Yeah.
You know, things have changed quite a bit, you know, so, well, it's almost like the yearly competency. Hey, here's the new things that are here. Do you know about them? I think it'll be good.
Pilot didn't get certified a long time ago and hasn't recertified, right? Russell, how about you?
I mean, I think that I think all the education stuff is really good. I struggle with the university and we ultimately didn't use it very much in our implementations. I think that the you know, for a multi-site model, I think that, you know, I'm really intrigued by thinking about the things that we can do to make it more on my, whether it's Accenture or TCS or like the project management kind of teams that are my portal to all my API setups and stuff like that, because then they get their hands in every single thing that I'm doing.
Right.
So since, you know, once a model is established, I'd like to be able to just say, hey, this other site has an interest. Why can we, you know, what's it take to turn that on? Right. So I think everything that makes it easier I understand why the first site would be difficult, but like all the sites beyond that,
yeah,
if you help me with that model, including post go live support, that's where I need the assistance, because right now, if I need a team of, you know, 4 TCS guys that bring 2 or 3 guys along with them, then suddenly the thing that me and you guys could have probably done in a month takes 2 and 3, and it costs me a lot more.
Yeah. One of the things we saw early days was, you know, you go and you do a training class before a client's going to go live, and you ask people at the end of the session, everybody understand, right? And everybody's nodding their head. But there's always at least 1 or 2 in the room that are nodding their head profusely, but their foot's on the brake under the table, right? You know, because they're thinking, I'm not so sure about this thing, right? And you've got to really tease that out. So we started doing one-on-one. Okay, well, show me then, how do you navigate in the workbench to get to this? Well, I thought I knew, you know, and then you'd find the heat seekers who knew exactly what you were asking and could, like that, navigate. And you really have to address kind of those non-believers, you know, the refuseniks or whatever you want to call them, who are at the other end of it. So I think we've got an approach here. I think in certain companies, they actually develop work instructions. Here's how we're going to do this job. And you could, through a project like this, establish that training material for that client, give them the ability to track the, you know, attention rate and the, you know, the skills and all that. We also see it as a way of generating our security training that we have to take our staff through every year, because we have to certify to our, you know, SOC 2 auditor that we are doing all the proper things to keep our team aware of data security requirements, processes, things like that. So lots of opportunities there. Any final questions on this? All right, thanks, Dan. Yep. Great stuff.